There we go. Hello. This time around I'm going to show you a quick tutorial about how we can use SubD modeling in Rhino6 to rebuild a mesh into a poly surface, and I think it's going to be one of the best, one of the strongest tools in rebuilding meshes semi-automatically, and that's why I'm showing it to you. I'll start off with something quite simple, like just a rectangle 210 by 120, something like that. Let me just scale that rectangle down by 0.3. Yeah, that seems to be okay. I'll just copy it here, 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 and here. And what I'm doing here, I'm just kind of going through the motions, you know, quite quickly, simply because I've already kind of gave or recorded quite a few tutorials where I'm doing this. I'm just building up a patch sequence in, let's say this one is going to be this tall. I'm just building up a patch sequence for Grasshopper to create a mesh from it. So if you're interested to see, you know, an in-depth explanation of what's going on, check out other videos that I've made. So here, let's say this seems okay. Just continue working with this one. Maybe this bad boy can be placed right there so that we can see all of the funky stuff that's going to be happening here. I'll just reference everything into Grasshopper as curves, and all of these are flat, meaning I can just use surface divide. If I could write, yeah, there we go, surface divide. I'll just choose divide by 1. So all I care about is these points. Trim tree, like that. And the reason why I'm using surface divide 1, because I need extremely low resolution, and I really don't want to kind of have a different approach. I don't want to keep explaining why I'm changing things, so I'm just sticking to the old school way of doing it. I'll just construct a mesh. Nope. I'll construct a mesh from points like that. Give it 1 by 1, or rather in this case I'll just give it 2 by 2, like that. So we have our mesh, and it's nothing to behold. Well, actually we have quite a few meshes, so I'll just flatten this and use mesh join, and let's just use unify mesh as well, just to get everything in order. Okay, so I have that. Let me smooth it out a bit with Catmull Clark, like that. So Catmull Clark by default will smooth out the corners. What the heck is good? That's fine. Catmull Clark will smooth out the corners as well by default. We don't want that. So I believe it's option 2, corner fixed. Yeah, if I choose option 2, then it's going to fix the corners in place. So I have this kind of a very low resolution mesh, which I will use as an input for my Kangaroo relaxation to kind of get a nicer looking, like a relaxed surface. So for Kangaroo, I'll just go for solver. We'll get to the SubD part in just a bit. I'll show as my first input. Let's entwine it. Entwine is always nice. Just lets me later on extract a branch that I want. So show is my most important thing. So I'll just give it to branch 0, and then let me just explode tree. And the first output that I get from it is going to be a mesh. Okay, so now what do we do with this mesh? We relax it, and to relax it we need to grab its edges and kind of force them to try and become 0 length. So where do we have it here? There's this kind of nice thing about Kangaroo 2. Where is it? Kangaroo 2, goals mesh, edge lengths. I can just grab this bad boy, say that length factor is 0, plug that one in here, and that one comes into 0, 1 of the entwine. This whole thing is now like contracting to nothingness, and we don't want that. That's not nice. So I'm going to just anchor down some points, and that can also come into 0, 1 input of the entwine. So I need points to anchor, and I think if I just grab naked vertices like that, let me just check which ones are naked with point. Hello, point component here. Okay, so this is not cooperating that well because these guys are also being anchored, so I'll need to be a bit cheeky about it. Let's see what we can do. Well, first of all, I just want to anchor down the let me hide this whole thing, hide that. Okay, so out of all of these points, naked points, I just want to anchor down the top ones and the bottom ones. Those that are in between I don't care about, so I'll just sort the points. Well, no, I'll deconstruct the points, so I get their z component or whatever, the z number. It's late. I shouldn't be recording the tutorial this late. So I get the z component. I need the smallest and the highest value of all of my points in z axis. So I'll just get bounds, which gives me the smallest and the highest value, and I can deconstruct domain. Struct domain. There we go. So we have two numbers, 0 and whatever it is, 31 almost. So I'll just be asking whether or not these values are equal to 0, the z values are equal to 0, or if these values are equal, the z values are equal to 31 or whatever. So I get my true false statements, and with those I can just cull my points. So cull my English. Yeah, again, it's quite late. I shouldn't make it a habit recording the tutorials this late. Okay, so I have my now culled points, so only the ones in the top and at the bottom of the list are going to be anchored. There we go. And now I can just toggle. Let me just run the simulation. And where's my button? Where's my button at? That is not a button. Let me reset. Look at the beautiful mesh that we have. Yeah, this seems to be okay. So I'll just bake it out. So with this low resolution crap, doesn't seem like, you know, we can get anywhere with this. Also, it's all messed up. Let me unify mesh normals and flip. Or actually, no, I don't want to flip. But unify mesh normals I wanted to keep. So we have this guy, and actually I'll just minimize my Grasshopper screen, because now we can work in Rhino, and this is where it gets interesting, right? So this is where we start using SubD. tools, and the way it works is, well, actually I won't explain the way it works. It's much better to just show it to you. If you select your mesh, right, and you type in ToSubD, notice how in the command line it doesn't even try to guess what I want, right? Let me escape out and try again. ToSubD. Nope, nothing. That's because SubD tools are used in Rhino 7, and you would think that, well, crap, I don't have Rhino 7. Well, you're in luck, because they work in Rhino 6 as well. It's just that they don't autocomplete. So if I choose ToSubD, it asks me to select meshes. I just select my mesh, hit enter, and then we have a few options. So right now let me keep everything as no and just show you what it will give me. Enter. Let me move this to the side, and this is how this bad boy will look like. Cool, huh? Actually, now I notice that I messed up. This point right here is also considered to be high up. So it's being anchored down, and I don't want that. So let me go back here and kind of fix it. So to fix this, I will just take these 3 planes, scale 1D, scale them down to half the size. That's where midpoint comes in handy. Like that, copy, like that. And then I don't want this point to be anchored down, so I'll just kind of move it slightly down, like that. Let's try again. Set multiple curves. Beautiful. So now that is not being considered an anchoring point, simply because, you know, it's not one of the top ones anymore. So let me bake this out again and try giving you a tutorial again. Why the heck does unify mesh normals not work as well? Why don't you work? Mesh unify normals. Let me try with this one. Maybe this one will be a bit more cooperative. That one is just being lazy. Bake this out. Let's see. Also doesn't bake out. Well, doesn't matter. We can do it in Rhino. Unify mesh normals fixes it for us, and back to where we started. So ToSubD, enter. Subdivision options, I'll keep it as default, enter. No, other way around. Give me the SubD. SubD, come on. There we go. And notice that, like, if I select the mesh, the type is open mesh. If I select the SubD, type is SubD, meaning that everything works in Rhino 6 as expected. The only problem right now that I see here is this rounding of corners, which, you know, I don't want. So I'll be fixing that. To fix them, let me delete it and select the mesh again, and again ToSubD, enter. Where it says corners, I'll just turn it on. Corners, yes, hit enter. Now I'll struggle with selecting the SubD again for like 20 years. There we go. And now you can see the corners were fixed and everything is smooth and nice. I mean, if I were to come back in here, actually let me show you the Kangaroo version of it. Let me say subdivisions, or not subdivisions. Catmull Clark subdivisions are level 3, like that. So it has much more resolution to work with. Let me reset. and bake out the mesh like that. So this is like just Kangaroo relaxation with a higher density mesh. Unify mesh normals. You can see that visually it's almost the same thing. Like it's very close, right? Okay, so it kind of shrinks a little bit more, but other than that, it's quite similar, right? The only difference is that if I were to take this mesh and use ToSubD, you can see that all of these are going to like this is way too much resolution, so it doesn't, you know, at this point I could just say mesh to Nurb and kind of work with it this way. So it doesn't make any sense to do it like that. With this high resolution mesh, that's exactly why I used the low resolution mesh for this approach. So let me get rid of that old thing. So now for this guy, right now it's a SubD geometry, right? So we need to kind of convert it back into a poly surface, and that's easy. If I just type in ToNurbs, ToNurbs also doesn't autocomplete, but we don't care. We just trust me, right? So we hit enter. ToNurbs. Delete input objects, no. SubD options, we don't care. We just hit enter again. Like that. And that's a poly surface, right? With every single surface here is a NURB surface, and we can use them for Boolean operations and stuff like that. Actually, I'm interested to NURBs SubD options. What do we have here? Separate patches, yes. Surface size small. I don't know. What will it do? Ooh. That might be something useful. I don't know for what, but might be. And that's not the point of this tutorial. The point is to show you that you can indeed use SubD in Rhino6 to create very clean geometries. And actually, let me show you one more thing. So back here, are we running low or high resolution? High resolution. So let's run low resolution mesh. Let's look at it. Right, so we have our mesh here. Let me offset it. Create solid. Nope. False. Distance, I don't know, like let's say 100. Okay, definitely not 100. What's, oh, right, the mesh normals are messed up, right? We already saw that. So let me try unifying mesh normals here. Maybe that will fix it. Yep, that fixes it. Super. And let me decrease the distance to something more reasonable, like 3. So we have something like this, and let me just join these bad boys up. Mesh join into one mesh. Just to be sure, flatten. When you want to be sure, you just flatten everything. Bake it out, default. Okay. Move this mesh to the side. So it's all good, it's all clean. Again, ToSubD, enter, corners, fixed, delete input. This time I'll just delete the input, I don't care about the original mesh anymore. So once I hit enter, I have it like that, and then I'll convert it to Nurbs. So these are like two main commands, ToSubD, ToNurbs. Enter. SubD options, separate patches, no. So that was by default, right? So I just hit enter again, delete the SubD. So now I have the poly surface. I can duplicate border, right? So I have these two borders. Let me actually isolate just to show them better. I have these two borders, so that means I can loft between them here and loft between these two bad boys here. Delete, 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 show selected, show these guys, join everything. Two open poly surfaces, what's up with that? Why don't you want to join? Join, there we go. Now everything got joined up, and if I type in what, I can see it's a valid polysurface closed solid polysurface, meaning that Boolean operations and so on are valid. Like I can just straight up create a, let me create a nice box like that, something like this, move it down. Actually, let's be very controlled and very fancy. So move it down, and now let's move it up until it kind of fits. Boolean union, this guy and this guy. And now all of this is a single closed poly surface with just a few surfaces. Okay, so that's cool and all, but what else can we do with it? So before we finish up here, I'll just show you one more thing. Where's my mesh at? Let me just bake out a single layer of it like this, move it to the side, and we don't need Kangaroo anymore. So I'll just close Grasshopper. So I have this mesh here again, ToSubD, enter, enter, ToNurbs, enter, enter. And the cool thing is, if I were to explode all of this crap, and I can start using merge srf, enter, to start merging these guys into stripes. Right? Which I think is really cool. Keep in mind that when you're doing this, I could just do this all day. It's not complaining, it's not. The only problem is that you need to do it in like, you kind of need to do it one by one, which is kind of a hassle, but not that big of a problem. Like that. Probably should have chosen a different method for merging, not method, but different direction for merging. But you can see how cool and strong this kind of tool is. Can we merge these two? No, it won't let me merge in between the stripes, so I can only merge in stripes. It's not ideal. If I zoom in here, you can see, it's definitely not ideal, but for for cleaning up geometry and kind of using it, if you really need to use it as Nurbs stripes, I think this is really cool. You can also like select one of them, offset surface. Let's just see how it's going to offset. The answer is clean. The answer is super clean. Surface edges, ISO curves are on, so everything here is really clean. Let me see. Yeah. Hopefully, like this really helps you guys out with different, different designs and different buildings. I don't know. I just saw this and I found it very cool. Right. So that's all I wanted to show with this tutorial. It's just that you can indeed use SubD modeling with Rhino. with Rhino6, not even Rhino7, which is super, right? It just keep in mind that it won't automatically autocomplete. Short tutorial, I know. Oh, and also we hit 1,000 subscribers, for which I thank you, and I will be uploading quite a few, I think, quite cool videos for you guys to check out. So keep in touch, and I don't know how, what do famous YouTubers say these days? Like, ring that bell. I have no idea what that means, but I heard people say it. So ring that bell, I guess. And that's it from me. Take care and bye.